Welcome to One Way Gatherings online virtual gathering this week. We hope you enjoy it. We do ask that if you've got anything that you would like prayer for, let us know. And if you've got anything that you would like to contribute as well, just let us know too. You can contact us via the Contact Us link on our webpage, onewaygathers.org, or you can join in the chat session if you're watching live online. Make sure you put a reminder in your phone for next week, 7 p.m. Fridays or 9 a.m. Sundays. Have a good week. Bye.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes, to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. To feel the kingdom coming, and to reconcile the lost, to redeem the whole creation. You did not despise the cross, for even in your suffering you saw to the other side, knowing this was your salvation. Jesus, for our sake you died. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. In the morning that you rose, all of heaven held its breath, till the storm was moved for good, for the Lamb had conquered death. And the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe, for the souls of all who come to the Father are restored. And the Church of Christ was born, and the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel and shall not faint. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one.
And welcome again to Uncle Gazza, here to make you smile during the coronavirus crisis. There were two fish in a tank, and one said to the other, "How do you drive this thing?" And there's a story of the two TV antennas, up on the roof. They met each other, they fell in love, and they got married. Now the ceremony was fairly ordinary, but however, the reception was brilliant. What happens when a strawberry crosses the road? It turns into a traffic jam. And last one for you today. What's the difference between a fly and a mosquito? Well, the answer: a mosquito can fly, but a fly cannot mosquito. That's all for now. Bye.
Hi there, we're back this week for a bit of myth busting again. Did the resurrection really happen? One question that often gets asked by those who don't believe in Christ is whether he really did rise from the dead. It was faked. The people made it up. It was a myth. Or they claim that the body was stolen. These are some of the objections that sometimes get raised when talking about the resurrection of Christ. For something to become a myth, it usually takes a few generations to develop. Myths also tend to describe something a long time ago. The stories get passed down to the following generations and become a myth that way. But the story of Jesus' resurrection is described very specifically by different people in numerous gospel accounts dated within 25 years of the death and resurrection taking place. There's a definite location described, a particular ruler at the time, the details of the guards at the tomb, and the way the tomb was sealed. Events before and after it are described in detail. There's also another number that cannot be ignored. The number of people who saw Jesus alive after his resurrection numbered more than 500. So immediately after the resurrection of Jesus, people believed that the resurrection had happened, with over 500 witnesses seeing him. Remember, myths take more than a few generations to develop. At this point in time, there were still many people hostile toward Jesus. Remember, he'd just been crucified. Yet there's no account of people at the time refuting the resurrection. They used many other arguments to say Jesus wasn't who he said he was, but not that one. Jewish customs do not have deaths and rebirths of mythical gods as part of their beliefs, so having the resurrection as a myth doesn't fit with the style of myths and legends at the time. Greeks do not believe in physical resurrection either, so the story of the resurrection doesn't fit into that mythology. Both of those were the prevalent worldviews at the time. So what about the next one? Perhaps the body was stolen. However, there's a few things that make this impossible. The first is that there were Roman soldiers guarding the tomb, as well as a huge stone covering the door. Any thief who tried to steal the body had to get past Roman soldiers, move a massive stone to get the body. Then they had to unwrap the body and leave behind the cloths that was used to wrap the body. The body was also never found. Both the Romans and the Jews had plenty of motivation to search for the body and produce it as evidence to prove that Jesus wasn't resurrected. But yet neither side found the body. Another argument is that the disciples stole the body. But if that was true, what motivation did they have? Most of them did not expect Jesus to rise from the dead and were in hiding after the recent death of Jesus. If they did steal his body, why would so many of them go on to be fearless preachers, to endure persecution, imprisonment, and eventually die for the cause of the gospel? People don't endure anything like that for something they believe is a lie. Under all of this stress, if one of them had stolen the body or knew what happened to it, you can guarantee that the truth would have come out. And if the guards were really sleeping and the disciples came and stole the body, as is often claimed, how would the sleeping guards know what actually happened or who did it? In fact, this was the story that the Jewish leaders asked the Roman soldiers to share. Obviously, neither of those sides stole the body. They collaborated to come up with a story. So even if the idea of a stolen body is slightly credible, it still only explains why the tomb was empty and not that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. Both of the arguments, Jesus' resurrection was a myth or the body was stolen, concede two key points. Jesus did indeed die on the cross and that the tomb was empty. Neither of those 2 points can explain why over 500 people saw Jesus physically after the claimed resurrection. So these two myths are busted. Jesus did indeed rise from the dead.